Working remotely can be a challenge, especially for teams that are new to it. How do you deal with your work environment being the same as home while staying productive? At a time when teams must come together more than ever to solve big challenges, Trello's here to help. Trello, part of Atlassian's collaborative suite, has been powering remote teams globally for almost a decade. Trello keeps everyone on the same page, helping teams communicate, focus, and connect. Try Trello for free and learn more at Trello.com. That's Trello.com.
We've got your Raiders covered.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
It's Silver and Black today on CBS Sports Radio 1140. And now, here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Good Sunday morning and welcome back, Raider Nation. We hope you are doing well and staying safe as all of this madness continues around us, but that's okay because we've got each other and we've got some Raider football to talk about, right? I think that at a time like this with no sports on the television, we have to find ways to entertain ourselves, and I think that talking about football, because the NFL business has moved on, it is continuing despite what is happening around us, and so we are happy to be with you here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 AM in Las Vegas, talking about Raider football. Welcome back to our bunkers. That's right, we are all separate locations because of what is happening in the world, but we bring you the show anyway. Myself, Scott Gobranson, joined by Chaz Osborne, one of my co-hosts, who's actually, Chaz, are you still in California, or are you here now?
No, I'm here in Vegas, yep.
Oh, okay, you're back in Vegas. And then, of course, Kelly Kreiner. Kelly, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. Good as always.
Oh, good. All right. Well, I swear. So you got to tell me, what have you guys been doing to pass the time thus far?
Well, I started drinking again. I don't know about Chaz, but
I started gambling again.
You're gambling where? At home?
My TVG account, and started betting the horses, and had a pretty good week actually.
Oh, that's right. Where are they running races, Chaz?
Florida's still
Golden Gate's
defiant.
running also.
Yeah, so Gulfstream's running down in Florida. Oaklawn's been running, and then Los Alamitos in California is still running. So I hit that 'Tis the Law they just had on that sports update. That horse looks great for the Derby. Unfortunately, the postponement, I don't know if that'll help him or hurt him, but that horse has won all of its preps. And hit that pick 3, a couple $100 yesterday.
Nice, that's awesome. At least you keep busy.
In Vegas.
Yeah, I know. There's people that are like watching sports from different places or betting on things that are not inside the world of sports, just to keep themselves busy, right? But have you guys been watching any old games or any of that? I know some people are doing that. I'm not, like, I can watch games, from the past that I liked a lot and all that, but I just can't come to, like, why I turn on the TV and I see they're showing the World Series from 2003 or something. I'm like, I didn't really care about the teams, so it doesn't matter to me. I think it's hard to watch older sports in this day and age when we're so used to having things at our fingertips.
Well, for me, whenever I'm down, I just turn on Super Bowl 18 and instantly cheers me up right there.
Kelly, you got through The Office. Now what are you on?
I actually stopped watching The Office because after at about season 7, it got I didn't like the show anymore. It's like everyone on here is so annoying. I can't watch this anymore. That's basically how I with The Office. I'm getting ready to start Ozark because I haven't seen anything yet. Season 3 came out. I'm watching. It's called Money Heist. It is a Spanish TV show. Season 4 is coming out on Friday of it. It's excellent. And then I'm just a little bit of this and that, a little bit of everything. But yeah, man, it's 4 or 5 cigars a day and then Netflix for like 5 or 6 hours a day.
4 or 5 cigars a day, so you're blowing through them, huh?
Yeah. Quicker than I was expecting.
So we're trying to get by, all of us, and I know for me, I have the entire family here, so 7 of us in the one house, and it's interesting because I actually am not, I joked about it like a couple of days in, saying I'm going to be like Jack Nicholson from The Shining, where you're at the typewriter, it's like all work and no play make Jack a dull boy, and actually it hasn't been the family that's been driving me crazy. It's the pets, man. Like last night, I fell asleep. I was doing some work downstairs, fell asleep on the couch, and about 6 times our dog had to go outside. It doesn't usually have to go outside that much. It has to go outside. Then the cats are fighting, and then the other cat is like chortling because it's mating season, and he must smell a female or something. He's a kitten, so he hasn't been fixed yet. And it's like, geez, I was ready to just say, okay, I'm opening the door. Pets, just leave, go. Noah's Ark, find it, go, bye. But I wonder how everybody out there is treating folks and how they're dealing with this. But we have a busy show today, so let's run down that, guys. We have today a couple guests that I want to really focus on. Jason Fitzgerald from Over the Cap is going to be with us. He'll be with us here after the first break. And Jason's going to talk to us about the Raiders' free agent moves, what it means for their overall cap health, because now everybody's always trying to keep track when you have needs like the Raiders do and you still need to find some other players and you have the draft coming, you obviously want to be in a good position. So Jason will get us up to date. We'll also talk to him a little bit about the signing bonuses thing. Kelly and I did a podcast on this earlier in the week where we said, hey, listen, because the Raiders aren't signing long-term deals and giving these massive cash bonuses like they used to, doesn't mean they're cash poor. It doesn't mean it's a bad strategy. So we're going to talk to him about that as well. Tommy White from the local 872 will be with us about the stadium update. Of course, this week, as you read on silverandblacktoday.com, there was a worker out at the stadium who tested positive for COVID-19. Turns out that that individual worker was not there that often. No one else was exposed, and everything else has been fine. But Tommy's going to get us up to speed on that, as well as the rest of the stadium update to find out what's going on out there and how they're progressing. We did some new drone footage. You can find that here on the YouTube channel. By the way, we are streaming live video, doing that on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Having a little bit of an issue with the technical side being remote, but it's all up there ready for you guys to go. So we'll invite you to go check that out. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit notifications so you don't miss these videos, and you can see the drone footage we took yesterday. We'll also talk about your greatest personal Raiders moments, right? So as a fan, what moment while you were alive that you saw either live or in person, live on TV or in person, what was your favorite moment as a Raiders fan? We did a story on that. We got a bunch of feedback, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get that from Chaz and Kelly, too, as long as I can remember. Then in the second hour, we're going to be joined live by Raiders wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, third and Renfro. He'll be here. He's been fully prepped and is ready to talk to Kelly about his... No, I'm just kidding. We joke that Kelly doesn't like Hunter Renfrow, but that's not true. Right, Kelly?
Yeah. I'm not sure how this all got started. I mean,
it was a joke. Yeah. It was a joke, and we just wrote on it because it wasn't true, and it was just fun to watch you get frustrated.
Well, then that's the thing, man. We're not scared to beat a joke to death.
That's we're not.
We are not afraid to do it all.
That's right. So we're going to do that. We'll talk to Hunter Renfrow. It'll be interesting to hear what he's up to. I've seen some of the players in social media tell people what they're doing, and of course a lot of them are doing PSAs and things like that to let people know what's going on and to tell them to stay home and all of that. And then you're seeing musicians do performances. So we're going to ask Hunter what he's doing and how he's keeping in touch with his teammates as well. So that'll be interesting. Then Moe Moton will join us as well in the second hour. He did a story up on silverandblacktoday.com about what the Raiders free agent moves mean to their future roster and what it might mean as far as decisions in the draft go. So we'll talk to him about that. Also, a little bit of a local story for us. We want to make sure we support our local businesses. Most of them are closed. The ones that are open, we need to get out and help. One of those, of course, is Stage Door Casino, where we've done live shows. Of course, a big Raider bar here in Las Vegas. They're closed, but their convenience store is open. I've gone a couple times to get supplies there. John Vizcarra, the GM there, is going to join us. He's going to talk a little bit about that and how Raider Nation has helped support him and his employees and his business through this time. And then, of course, we'll have Kelly's Corner. So, guys, when you look at the sports world, there's nothing much going on. We've heard now the NBA might come back when they do come back and do like a tournament here in Las Vegas. Suddenly, Las Vegas is the place that everybody wants to go. The draft We continue to hear that the draft will come back to Las Vegas hopefully next year. There's some conflicting reports on that. Some people say they're coming back next year for certain. No one in the league has told me that, but there is some indication that it'll happen. But that's the thing. It's a tough time, but Raider fans stick together, man. It's really nice to watch it all.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with, not just the NBA, but every sport. And you might see some kind of truncated season type thing to where they'll do, like you said, a tournament out here, do something different because they know they won't be able to get a regular season in, but they still have those TV deals. They still want that money and everything coming in, so they've got to have some kind of a product.
Yeah, they've got the FIBA Americas, and they've got all these international things going on where the NBA could just do all those things here and keep it under their umbrella, and there'd be more money for their owners and their players. So it'd be interesting to see where it goes from there. I was also going to ask you, I know, Scott, you're a baseball guy. I wonder if this is going to have an effect on, they've been talking about shortening the seasons, the NBA and the Major League Baseball. I wonder after this if they might reconsider shortening the baseball season or maybe even the basketball season. Yeah,
it's going to be, that's what I've heard from Major League Baseball. There's some indication that they might go and they feel like they can fit 100 games in. We'll see, though. But that all depends on when this thing kind of starts to subside a little bit. It's not going to go away for a while completely. But if it starts to subside a little bit, then we can figure it out. But until that time, we won't know for sure. But we'll see. But make sure you guys. Thanks, you guys. Get a lot of feedback in YouTube that the microphone sounds really bad. Well, guys, we're in a weird situation here. We're not in the radio studio. We're doing our best to dial that in a little bit. So stay with us on that. Again, we're broadcasting from our homes and doing the best that we can. So we apologize if it's a little really muffed and stuff like that because we're all connected via a technology that connects us through the internet, so it's not always stable. So we're doing our best. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. When we come back from the break, we're going to be joined by Jason Fitzgerald of overthecap.com. He's going to tell us how the Raiders are doing from a cap health perspective, and we'll talk about their moves in free agency. You are listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Hang on, I'm going away.
CBS Sports Radio. You found the most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black. This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas. All of us in separate locations, the new normal for now at least, as we broadcast from our individual bunkers from our homes and bring the Raiders show to you, though, anyway, because that's what we do. We would not let anything get in the way of making sure we do that, so we appreciate you guys joining us. And this segment, we really want to get down and talk about what the Raiders were able to do in free agency and what it means for their overall financial health. And we bring in our good friend from overthecap.com, Jason Fitzgerald. Jason, thanks for coming in and being part of the show today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right, so if we look at let's start kind of at a macro level here with free agency in general. If we look at free agency in 2020, okay, no one thought a pandemic would hit the country and would bring everything to a halt. If free agency this year, not as many big deals, the number of years per contract and these big long-term deals didn't materialize, Jason. Is that the dynamic that was created by all this, or is it a multitude of things, the new CBA? What's the reason that you see for that?
No, I think it has more to do with the new CBA. I think that there are a lot of players that would prefer to get back to free agency 2-3 years from now. I think there's also some uncertainty on the team ends as to how the finances of this will shake out. So I think everyone was just kind of more in tune with doing shorter term deals this year, 3 years or less, than really going long term with those 5-year contracts.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it was interesting. And if you look at what the Raiders did, the Raiders went in. They had so many needs throughout the roster. So, but defense seemed to stick out, and so they focused on defense. They made some great moves, including Corey Littleton coming in, and they really did everything that I think they wanted to do. Of course, they went after Byron Jones. They got outbid for him. or they resisted maybe what he wanted. They spent the money on Littleton, but did not give out those long guaranteed contracts, just as we mentioned. Were you surprised by that the Raiders showed that much restraint?
No, I don't think I was too surprised by it. I mean, if you look at what they've done, and I know they were a little bit more active last year in free agency in terms of the big deal for Brown and a couple other things. But I think for the most part, I think they look at this as you're trying to piece something together for the next 2 years. And I think that's kind of what their moves are, is to see what they can do to maximize their return this year and on a couple of the deals, hopefully next year. And it may even be that they re-sign the Eli Apples of the world after they complete a 1-year contract and they get a good look at them, and then they decide if they want to, invest longer term. So I think given where the Raiders are right now, I think it kind of made sense the way that they approached free agency.
Yeah, no, it worked out good for them, I think. And if you look at that, you look at the cap now, I know there's some deals that have not reported yet. You guys have them at about $6 million. But what are they going to do from a perspective of, they have some guys, of course, that pop out like Gabe Jackson, who could very well be a cap casualty. What do you see from them over the next few weeks? Because, people get excited, free agency, that first initial rush and all these signings, but actually a lot of work is done between now and the draft and after the draft. What do you see perhaps for the Raiders and how they manage that?
So I think the name that you mentioned is probably a good one. I think there's been a lot of rumors that Jackson's future with the Raiders could be in doubt. I think those are players that you look at after the draft. You look to see who the Raiders can draft. If they can draft someone that maybe they slot in as a replacement, that's when you probably consider cutting a player or going to him and saying, we want to reduce your salary to make it more realistic. If you don't take this pay cut, we just drafted another player that we're happy to try and slide in there. And sometimes you can get that to work. And then if that doesn't happen, I think the next thing that you do is you look at a couple of the big number contracts that they have. Rodney Hudson, for example, he's someone that they obviously envision to be here for a couple of years still. Brown, probably someone they envision to be here a couple of years. Those are the players you probably go in and you restructure those contracts to create cap relief in the short term and push the money out to the future.
Again, we're talking to Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com.
Hey, Jason, it's Chaz. I know there was a lot of talk about the minimum salaries and the increase there. My question was, with the minimum salaries increasing, I didn't get the whole number. It was $100K for that, and then maybe $100,000 increase for the rookie minimums. So I was thinking, it would take like a Hunter Renfrow, for example. Would it be possible that a rookie drafted this year in the 5th round would actually be making more money than a Hunter Renfrow this season?
Yeah, that's possible. In fact, that's probably likely. I mean, most of the time, the draft picks every year, their salaries are going to not only rise with the fact that there's minimum increases, and Renfro got a minimum increase as well. Every player got an increase, but they peg the draft salaries to the rise in the salary cap. So traditionally, every year the salary cap goes up. So usually the rookies the year thereafter end up making more money than the ones the prior year. So he'll probably get out-earned by other players that are drafted this season.
But then they backload that, and the next year, then the minimum goes up for the already set players and not as much for those rookies.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Jason, now, one of the things that we talked about this week, we heard a lot of folks really, and some people criticize and talk about the Raiders as an organization being cash poor because they weren't signing Byron Jones and they weren't giving out these cash bonuses. The way the Raiders are structuring their contract, the shorter term, as we talked about a little bit earlier, without the big signing bonus, instead of doing some other things creatively, are we seeing that more throughout the league, or does it depend on where that team is? The Raiders clearly are on the crux of getting a lot more revenue stream than they've had in the past as a franchise. In the past, they have been unable to, due to contract negotiations and signing those long-term deals that they were stuck with. Are you seeing this throughout the NFL, more teams being more prudent, or is it a case-by-case basis?
I think overall in the NFL, they've moved away from the large signing bonuses. Some teams, because of their cap situations, are able to do it a little bit more effectively than others. Other teams that are in a real tight bind with the cap, they still have to use these signing bonuses. But teams have generally moved away from that just to maintain roster flexibility throughout the term of those players' contracts. If you think back to where the Raiders were back in probably 2012, give or take a year, their salary cap was such a mess because of the way that they did their contracts and the amount of signing bonus money that they used and restructuring bonus money that they used. They basically went into a period where they had to become an expansion team because of that. So they moved away from that once they finally cleared the roster out, and they really haven't gone back to it. Even though it's two GMs now, they've kind of stayed with the same system. And more teams are doing it this way to kind of be able to handle the salary cap better when it comes time to move on from these players 2 or 3 years from now as they get a little bit older and become less effective.
Yeah, and Jason, the one thing I was going to ask you too is, you know, and I think you wrote about this as well, which is we're starting to see a little shift in the NFL, albeit a little bit slowly, to where trades in the league were not as numerous. They are becoming more and more common. Talk about that and how that impacts overall teams and why it's happening.
I think it's starting to happen more. I think part of it is a financial deal. You know, if somebody pays a guarantee on a contract, you know, I'll use, for example, Odell Beckham. You know, the Giants paid a lot of money up front for him when they signed him to an extension. So when he gets traded to a team like Cleveland's going to look at that as basically getting a discount. They're going to look at that, you know, that they're getting a $18 million a year player for $15 million a season. And I think more and more teams are starting to look at it that way. They have more flexibility with those players. It's better to, you know, maybe trade a late draft pick for someone and kind of have control over that player and have had another team pay the guarantees than to, you know, go and sign a player in free agency where you have to pay all the guarantees up front and, you know, you're kind of stuck with that player maybe for a longer period of time. So I think more and more teams are getting into it just because of the financial benefits of it. And I think you also have a lot of front offices that are getting younger, and they're seeing that there's just more avenues to acquire players than in the past, whereas, you know, in the past it was either free agency or the draft. And if someone was looking to trade a player, 90% of the time it meant that the player was just on the downside of his career.
Yeah, and again, Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com is with us. And Jason, one last question for you. With all of this, and clearly there's going to be workout delays and things like that, there's a lot of folks who want to jump to the season being delayed. We're obviously not there yet. We're still only a few weeks into this thing. What are you hearing from folks around the league, though, about how this might change their plans, whether it be bringing guys in for workouts eventually? I know they can't do it right now, but how do you think this is all going to flush out?
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows yet. I think when it comes to bringing guys in for workouts, you know, the lower level free agents or guys that you might sign, I think that's almost going to be a start of training camp thing right now. You know, everything is so uncertain, you know, and on a state by state basis, you know, where I live in the Northeast is pretty much about to go into a full lockdown. It seems like other parts of the country maybe aren't as bad. You know, it's something I think the teams are just taking day by day. I don't think they necessarily have a handle on it just yet, but you may see a little bit more action that comes, you know, closer to that training camp period when things really do open up fully, because especially for players that have medical questions, you have to get them in to take a look at them. You know, you can't just rely on gut instinct or being able to probably find a local physician and having him, you know, check somebody off on a physical. You probably want to get a much more in-depth look at those players before you commit any kind of significant money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jason, I want to thank you and appreciate you spending the time with us. Hope you and your family are doing well there, and I'm sure we'll talk to you down the road. Make sure you check out Jason on overthecap.com. It's the source we go to constantly to track all this stuff. Jason, take care and be well.
Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.
All right, Jason Fitzgerald from overthecap.com. When we come back, we'll be joined by Tommy White, Local 872, the Laborers Union here. He'll tell us how the stadium is progressing and about the positive COVID test for a worker out there, but that had little impact on the construction of the stadium. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140. Welcome back to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 in Las Vegas. Yes, the city that continues to persevere. And one of the projects, as we know, when the governor decided to shut down the state for the protection of Nevadans there were essential roles. There were essential jobs that needed to continue. Of course, we know about those men and women on the front lines in healthcare. We thank them today for putting themselves out there and doing that, as well as our first responders, everyone else dealing with this issue. Also, Nevada and Las Vegas particularly was having a booming economy, lots of construction, and that includes, of course, Allegiant Stadium. And joining us now is our good friend and early supporter of this show and the website. We thank him forever for that, Tommy White from the Laborers 872. Tommy, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Doing good, buddy. Thanks for joining us. And first, I want to just get out of the way. We reported on it on the website. Of course, this week, one of the workers out at the stadium tested positive for COVID-19. But as we were told, and as you told us as well, that this was only a person who was on the site a couple days. What's been the impact of that positive test for that one worker?
So, hold on a second. Let me set this thing up. So,
yeah.
Let me just start by saying this. If it wasn't for the precautions that we put in place on the stadium prior to that one individual testing positive, it probably would have been a lot worse, right? But it's because of all the steps that we put in place at the stadium is the reason why he was caught so early. The gentleman was on the site for 2 days, and from what I heard yesterday, is he's up and around, and he was hoping that he was going to get back to work, but we all know that's not going to happen. He's going to have to get a release before that happens. But our job sites, and I say this as a whole, our job sites, not only just the stadium, but all the construction job sites out there that I know of that are ran by both some of the big union contractors and non-union contractors. We put, strict precautions in place, and it's helping, and I mean, I've taken a lot of crap over supporting keeping the stadiums open, but at the end of the day, keeping the construction going on. But at the end of the day, here's what happens, and I know this because I do it myself, and I hear this from all the workers. When we learn something at a construction site, 99% of the time, we bring that something home, right? So when we learn what the precautions are and what we need to take care of and how we need to wipe things down, we bring that home, and we train that to our families. And then our families go ahead and they talk to their cousins and their friends, and they tell them what we're doing out there. So it's kind of like creates like a domino effect, and it actually helps everybody out. And, we're very fortunate. We had one person. He was taken off the site immediately. He was tested, and it wasn't that we found him on the site with the virus. He said he felt sick, and from there we tested him, and he had a fever, and then he tested positive. So, and I mean, we had 2 people so far, knock on wood, 2 construction workers so far in the town test positive. Both of them are okay. Both of them, they're not in the hospital. They're taking care of their issues at home. And that's because we caught it early. And if they weren't on a construction site, we wouldn't have caught it early. So...
Well, no, and Tommy, I think that's one of the things you mentioned. I mean, this has been extraordinary from a circumstance standpoint with all the projects. And again, you have folks everywhere, not only on the stadium, but on the Sphere project, on Resorts World, on the major road projects here throughout the state of Nevada as well. But safety is always and has been number one priority for the Raiders, for you, for everyone on this site. And this falls right in line with that. And to me, the response was remarkable. And for those people who say, hey, listen, this is just a football stadium, I said immediately, Tommy, these are people too. There's a lot of folks that are hurting right now. They're out of work. Why would it be a good idea, especially for these types of roles of people working on these major projects that are so important to the future of our community, to put them out of work and impact those families too? It was the right decision to make, and I credit you and other leaders for making sure that we were able to do that. How is the morale out on the site and amongst all your other folks on different projects as well?
The majority of the workforce out there, and I'd have to say at least 95, 99%, they know what they're facing when they go on a job site. They know what they're facing when they leave their house. So, I mean, with the whole social distancing going on, and we have plenty of sanitizers out there, I mean, we must have sent out over 150 laborers in the past 2 weeks. Specifically, their job is to wipe down handrails, to wipe down any type of area that would be, very hand access. If you're walking through a turnstile or something, those are getting wiped down. The porta potties out there, we have one individual that stands in front of them that tells everybody you need to wash your hands. I mean, these are a lot of things that we're learning right now. Some of the things that I've been trying to get across to people is our town is built on tourism, right? So if we were to stop these projects that were going on, I can tell you right now, and I'll say it publicly, in a public forum, that if we were to stop construction, people are not just going to flock into Vegas anymore.
Right.
It's going to be a long time before we start getting plane loads of people coming here for vacation. Or coming here. So to continue building the stadium and to continue building the convention center and to continue building some of the resorts that we're building, that is something new. People will always come to Las Vegas because it's something new. If we didn't have these projects going on, it would take much longer to bring the tourists back to Las Vegas.
Yeah, and again, we're talking to Tommy White from Labor's Local 872 about the stadium and construction and the safety of the workers out there, which is always first and foremost job number one. And Tommy, that's what I know you guys too, as a labor union, have been taking care of your folks too, making sure if someone is sick, they get in. Even under your health plan, you're not charging co-pays, all that stuff. That is so essential. And going back to the tragedies we've had in our community, with 1 October, you guys stepped up, did a lot of work there as well. That's the one thing that is remarkable with not only the Local 872, but with that crew out at the stadium. I was out there shooting drone video yesterday, and I saw them practicing that social distancing. I saw the people you're talking about, and we can all learn, actually. I mean, we go to grocery stores here, and they have those squares now, so you're 6 feet apart and all that stuff in the line. But you guys are really setting the example. It's a job well done. Now, we get to the stadium itself, Tommy. I was out there. I had a lot of questions about the roof. The framing is all the way up. There's also is that protective sheeting, that white puffy material that we're seeing on top of that? Talk about where the process is.
Yeah, that's probably going to wind up getting peeled off when we get the whole thing up there. We need 45 days. Actually, we're probably about 40 days right now to complete that roof. And I mean, that was a big issue for us because the last thing we wanted to do is stop work out there, leave the roof open, wind up losing tens of millions of dollars in material and costing that project more money, right?
Right.
So we're about 45 days away. I mean, no matter either different ways that you look at the roof. Sometimes you look at it, looks like it's halfway done. Sometimes you look at it, looks like it's a quarter way done. But at the end of the day, we're about 40 to 45 days away from completing that. Once the roof is complete, I mean, we're going full bore on the inside also. Of course, this coronavirus has slowed us down a little bit because we got to really pay attention to everything that's going on around us and who's close to you and who's within 6 feet of you. But this virus will change society forever. And I mean, it's just something that we have to face. And on the brighter side of it, it's probably you're going to probably see a lot less people in the future sick because they're going to actually always look at coronavirus as a way to not to get sick anymore. So you're going to see a lot less people with the average flu. You're going to see a lot less people with the average cold. And listen, if there's anything we're learning from this, it's how to protect ourselves. How to make sure our areas are disinfected. My daughter runs around the house disinfecting everything. So, I mean, we have to get back to the basics with Las Vegas. And I'm happy that they kept us going because it's going to give tourists a reason to come here.
Absolutely. And Tommy, I want to just tell you how happy I'm here. Your family and you are doing well, and all the folks in the Local 872 who've been such a a great gem for our community, and also just out there always doing great stuff in our community. Thank you for all that you're doing. And you're right, Tommy. You've seen it. You've seen downturns before, including the big one in 2008, 2009. We'll bounce back from this, and I know the stadium is one of those projects, and we'll get you on again as we get closer to that roof getting done. Thanks again, Tommy.
All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, my friend. All right, Tommy White from the Laborers Local 872. Always appreciate him joining us and telling us about the stadium. So everything's full steam ahead, as you heard. It's time for us to step aside. When we come back, we're going to talk about your favorite Raider moments. What were they? Either live, on television, what they were. We did a story up on the website about that. We're going to talk about that. We'll hear from Chaz and Kelly on theirs. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
CBS Sports Radio. The only way to take Silver and Black today with you is with a radio.com app. Download it today and search CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas and listen to us anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140, coming to you remotely. I cannot wait to get back in the studio with my two co-hosts, of course, that is Kelly Kreiner and Chaz Osborne. And guys, this week, I was sitting there. We all have a lot of extra time. We're all working at home, whatever we may be doing. And so I was sitting there thinking, okay, what can I do to engage? And we have such great listeners and readers up on the website. What can I do to kind of engage them and maybe get some things flowing and have them talk about some Raider football? We had the big free agent signings a week ago, and then kind of things have slowed down now. So what I did was I tweeted out, I said, do me a favor, tweet me your favorite Raiders moments that you experienced live or on TV during your lifetime. And then I wrote about that and got some really great stuff back from Raider fans, as you can imagine, because they are the best fan base. People talking about all sorts of different games, from just regular season games that they went to. Like, for example, Donovan Bryant, who I quoted in the story, he drove 10 hours to see the Raiders' big win in Indy this past year. And he's in a picture that we posted there from the game, which is kind of cool. But then also you have the 2002 AFC Championship game, just a wide kind of swath of different types of games and moments that Raider fans really enjoyed. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and ask you guys, and I'll start with you, Chaz. For you, is there one moment, whether it was on TV, of course, the championship games like 2002 and those always stick out. But was there something that you just, because of the people you were with or because of the situation, that just sticks out in your mind as one of your favorite moments as a Raiders fan?
Yeah, that was a great article. It really brought back a lot of memories, all the different things they were talking about there. For me, live, my first game ever was 1982 playoff game against the Jets at the LA Coliseum. The first year was kind of a strike-shortened season, and it didn't turn out so well. That was my first game. The Raiders lost. Jim Plunkett threw an interception at the end of the game. But, most of the games I've been to live, I was at that Brett Favre Monday night game. I was at the Derek Carr game where he broke his foot in 2016. So for me, live hasn't been so well. But, on TV, obviously, the Bo Jackson Monday Night Football game, obviously. And then I just, earlier, I remember, the things that made you jump off your couch, like when Mike Davis intercepted Brian Sipe in the playoffs against the Browns that got the Raiders to the championship game against the Chargers, and they ultimately won that Super Bowl in 1980. For me, it's a no-brainer that Marcus Allen's 74-yard touchdown run in the Super Bowl is probably my favorite all-time, Raider memory for sure.
Yeah, and that was mentioned by a lot of folks. We got so many responses. Of course, we couldn't use them all. I'm going to have to do another.
Yeah, that's got to be number
post
one
on it. Yeah, there was one of those. But then, for example, we had one fan write in and say that, look, it was Derek Carr. This was Vlasi from New York City. He said, look, longtime Raiders fan, born and raised in New York City. And one of his bucket list items was to go watch the Raiders at the Coliseum in Oakland. So he did. And it happened to be in 2017 on that big comeback, Derek Carr late in the game with the basically the clock expired and the penalties by the Chiefs and the Raiders winning that game, which was, I think, one of the more memorable games they've had in recent years. Yep. But Kelly, those types of games, a lot of it has to do with, like with Vlasi's point, he's talking about, going to a game with his wife for his birthday. He had never been to Oakland before. So you have not only the game was great, but then the personal experiences. Did you have anything like that as far as the Raiders go? What's your personal moment?
Well, I mean, obviously it's the London game this year I got to spend 20 hours. I got to spend 20 hours on a plane to spend 30 hours in London, but I got to spend that time with you guys. So obviously, it's worth it.
What a sweetheart!
My only other live Raiders game was back when I had Colts season tickets, and part of the reason I bought them was because the Raiders were coming to Indy, and Jerry Rice was on the Raiders at the time. Rice was my favorite player. I'm like, yeah, I could see Jerry Rice play. Jerry didn't play in the game, and I think it was like 41-14 final. I'm sitting there I'm up in the stands, got my Raiders hat and everything on. It was like the second or third home game I'd had season Colts tickets for, and everybody's staring at me, and then we just got walloped. So yeah. My live experience is that in London, so I'm taking London.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, clearly that was a big moment as well, as all of us being able to go to London together and hang out, but also to be in that brand new stadium and to do our show live from London was fantastic. And so I think that, that for me, not growing up a Raider fan like most of you did, that to me is a big one. But I think got a lot of recommendations and folks who pointed to a play that I was close to, even though I wasn't there, was the Holy Roller in San Diego against the Chargers. And that play, which eventually led to a rule change. There's so many of those great moments, and depending on your age, see, that's the thing. Ray Aspuria, who's a longtime listener and viewer of the show here, he talked about sitting in the Coliseum and watching Charlie Garner gallop for a TD and the refs missing the blatant hold on Tim Brown in the 2001 AFC wildcard game against the Jets. Like, to me, I love that's the thing with Raider fans. As much as the referees tend to screw the Raiders, when the Raiders do something, it goes back to the old Al Davis adage: if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And so I loved Ray's memory there too, and that actually was a pretty good game and a great way to end the game, Chaz.
Yeah, it's so great because the Raiders they've got dozens and dozens of these games, and a lot of them were in the playoffs. Like the Sea of Hands and the Ghost to the Post. There's just the Raiders' memories go on. And I used to love back in the 70s. They used to have that. Those Alcoa, that aluminum company, used to do those Fantastic Finish commercials.
Oh, I love those, man.
And the Raiders were in half of them because they had so many fantastic finishes. The Heidi game that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And just, on and on with the Raiders. And I think that's probably why most people are fans, because just the Raiders have done so many spectacular things over their history.
They really have. No, it's great. And I invite you to go up and read that up on the website, silverandblacktoday.com. Check it out and see if your memory's up there, and we'll do more. If you follow the Twitter stream on that one, you'll be able to see it as well. Well, we finished the first hour. Coming up after the break and the sports update, which I'm not sure what they're going to update you on, but the sports update's coming up at the top of the hour. After that, Hunter Renfrow will be with us, Raiders wide receiver. Great young guy. We'll talk to him about what he's up to and about the future and 2020. You're listening to CBS Sports Radio 1140 and the Silver and Black Today. Don't go anywhere.
We've got your Raiders covered.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
It's Silver and Black Today on CBS Sports Radio 1140. And now, here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. You kind of have no choice, right? You're stuck at home and you want to listen and talk Raiders football. Where else are you going to go, right? You can go on message boards. You can do whatever you want. But we roll on as we bring you Las Vegas's only and longest running now Raiders talk show. And we're excited to be joined again by one of the guys we talk a lot about on this show because we had such a great and outstanding first season with the Raiders. And that, of course, is wide receiver Hunter Renfrow. And Hunter joins us from his secret location, wherever he may be. Hunter, how you doing, man?
Good, yeah. Just hanging out here in South Carolina, so staying away from everyone.
Yeah, which is tough, I know, being a football. So what are you doing to pass? I mean, I got to ask you this question, right? We're all stuck at home. What are you doing to pass the time? I'm sure you're working out and everything's trying to stay in shape, getting ready for when things do pick up back to normal. What else are you doing to occupy the time?
Playing some video games. Me and my wife bought some land here in South Carolina, so we have about 30 acres, and so I think I spent 8 hours yesterday mowing the grass, and I've just been doing little jobs, and it's really been a good time. I know it's been tough, and it's definitely not something you would pick and you say, all right, I want this to happen to be staying at home and the virus and all that, but trying to find the good in all of it. It's been good just to be home with my wife and really just get some good workout times and just run in the yard, whatever it may be.
Well, yeah, and again, for you, too, coming out of a big program, winning a national championship at Clemson, all the work, I think a lot of folks who watch college football, pro football, don't realize how it is a year-round thing. You don't stop. You're constantly training. You're doing something. So to actually have some downtime must be interesting. And I know, you're obviously home playing video games, like you said. How are you keeping in touch with your teammates? Is it through video games? Are you just kind of texting each other? What are you doing?
Yeah. A little of everything. I'm texting some of them, calling some of them, playing video games with some of them. So it's really it's such a unique time. But yeah, we've been able to keep touch a little bit, and kind of as we're working out, we're texting each other. All right, when are you starting? How's your workouts going? And kind of just going from there and keeping up, because I know we're supposed to start OTAs in like 2 weeks, and obviously that's not going to happen. But we're still keeping up and pushing each other.
Well, Hunter, when I saw you out here in Las Vegas, which was your first trip here, when we were out at Rancho High School together for that great event that you did, when you were out here and we were talking about your relationship with your quarterback, with Derek Carr, and that you actually play video games together quite a bit as well, and you're connected with him as well. For you as a wide receiver coming into the league, you have this veteran quarterback who's been through a lot of the battles. You're new to it all. You guys had that instant connection. How is that? Talk about how that impacts you both on the field and off the field, being that close with your quarterback. I know that's not the relationship with every wide receiver and quarterback, but you guys have really forged a bond, have you not?
Yeah. So, it goes back to college. I remember when Derek signed his contract, I remember I was probably a freshman or sophomore, and I watched a video of him saying, all right, just because I have all this money now doesn't mean I'm still going to tithe. I'm still going to it really is just an opportunity for me to help more people. And so I've been a big fan of his since then, and someone that I was like, when I got drafted to the Raiders, I was like, I get to play with Derek Carr. I mean, I know he's a great player, but the type of person he is special. And so it was cool to kind of go down that, and then as the season went along, we played some Fortnite together or whatnot, and it really helped us chemistry-wise. I remember after the Lions game this year, that was like the first thing we talked about whenever we won it, and we were like, all right, well, how are we going to celebrate? Let's maybe go run a game or two on Fortnite tonight. And so it's good to have that chemistry, and we're humans too, right? So it's part of the team. We're out there in the field playing as a team, and then we got a foursome color squad that we go and play a team on Fortnite. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, the camaraderie, that's huge for chemistry and everything. Again, we're talking to Raiders wide receiver Hunter Renfrow.
Hey, Hunter, it's Chaz. What things did the coaches tell you to work on in the offseason, and what are you doing personally to improve your game?
Yeah, I'm a lot. I think one thing that I need to do better is just be more durable. I've been fairly durable in my career at Clemson, but you can't help win games if you're not on the field. And unfortunately, last year I got hurt a few games, and so maybe if I use a little better technique, catching the ball, then I wouldn't have exposed my ribs, or maybe if I had a little more meat on my bones, I wouldn't have exposed them. But maybe a little better understanding of the defense. Because it was kind of my fault. I kind of drifted into the guy, and Derek had nowhere to throw it. So it was definitely on me. I can change some things in that stance, but really, punt returning is a big thing for me. Just being more consistent, being better a student of the game, and be more understanding of what we're trying to do, because I've been in it a year now, and so just trying to help the new guys along and go and try to win as many games as possible.
Hey, Hunter, it's Kelly here. Got a question for you. 3rd and 5, game on the line. What's the one play call you want to hear come out of that huddle?
For me, you'd like to get the ball right. But honestly, Josh is a pretty good back. You got Darren Waller's a pretty good player. So hopefully we can take advantage of a mismatch from week to week. But I like the choice route. It's something we really didn't do in college. this was really my first year actually doing it, and it just opens up a lot of possibilities. You can go in, out, sit down. Especially it helps when you have guys like Tyrell and now Nelson Aguilar and all the weapons we have to take the top off the coverage and kind of get some double teams and maybe give me one-on-one. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a quarterback draw, too. Derek can run it a little bit.
I love it. Again, we're talking to Third and Renfro. Hunter Renfro, Raiders wide receiver, joins us. And, Hunter, you know, this offseason, the free agency period started. You guys needed a lot of help on defense, and boy, did Mike Mayock and Coach Gruden deliver on that. They signed some great guys. And even though you're on the offense, of course, nothing helps an offense like a great and better defense. How excited were you to see some of the moves that the team has made before you guys get back on the field?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Christmas. I mean, I've never been a part of a free agency before. I mean, we have recruiting classes in college, but it's interesting. And talking to some of my teammates, it's funny. Talking to some of my former Clemson teammates that are now in the NFL. I mean, every team thinks they have the best free agents. It's like every team is like, all right, we had the best free agency possible. But I feel like we really did. I mean, we had some great guys come in, especially on defense, and even Mariota quarterback. Just a really good group of guys, and so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we don't have OTAs, but it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out and how we can come together as a team.
Well, and Hunter, when you look at the offense, right, you guys had a great year last year. You're starting to put things together. You had a lot of new pieces, and that takes time. And you saw as time at spots, you guys really were clicking. But you need help too, right? So we've heard all off season that a focus most likely, we don't know for sure because we're not inside Coach Gruden's head or Mike Mayock's head, but we hear that, you know, first round with the wide receiver class coming out, that Raiders most likely going to get you some help and maybe a teammate to play alongside you. When you look at these young wide receivers, I know you are too, and you just got out a year ago, but when you look at Judy, when you look at Ruggs, when you look at CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma, what are you thinking when you see these guys and what they might be able to do lining up next to you in that huddle next year?
Yeah. T. Higgins is another one. Yeah, to Clemson.
Yes.
He's pretty good.
Got to get that Clemson mention in, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited. Anything that can help our team win, somebody's going to get them, right? So might as well be us. I feel like it'll be interesting because a lot of people forget, like, none of us were here. Like Josh, me, Darren Waller, Tyrell, none of us played with Derek. This was our first year. And so I think it's huge for us to have this offseason and have a whole year in the system. And then it's going to be interesting as well to see how this progresses with OTAs, where a new guy is coming in and may not have that much time to get prepared for the season. It will be on us and Tyrell and all the guys to kind of take them under our wing and teach them as much as we know.
Yeah, and Hunter, one of the guys, too, that came in as part of this free agent class, and this comes from one of our viewers on YouTube, Wendy Pierre. Wendy asked, have you talked to Jason Witten yet? And even if you haven't, talk about having a guy like that with that experience now. You guys have great tight ends already, right? You have Foster there, of course, Darren Waller. So you have great guys there. It adds a lot more depth. But his experience, what he's been through, how's that going to be for you guys?
Yeah, I'm looking at him like, how many great tight ends are we going to get? I mean, we might go 22 personnel every time. I mean, but he's another guy that I've always respected. I remember watching him retire, I think, the first time and talking about how he's running a choice route, and he's talking about how it's not me that makes this play great. It's the offensive line. It's the right tackle picking up the blitz. It's the running back being a check down. And so just learning from a guy like that, and the type of leader he is, the type of person he is. I mean, I couldn't be more thrilled. I texted 3 of my buddies, like, I couldn't believe that I was going to be able to play with him.
Yeah, now have you gotten the wife to start to help you look for places out here yet? Because I know now none of us can travel right now. We have to stay where we are. But you guys looking forward to getting out here and getting used to this dry heat we got?
Yeah, I mean, I like you said, that was my first time to Vegas about a few weeks ago. I'm excited. We really are. I didn't know really what to expect because my perception is a strip and all that, and I don't really go out much and party or anything like that. So I wasn't really sure. But once I got there and kind of saw what it was about and saw kind of the suburbs, it's beautiful. Seeing the mountains in the background, the golf courses. You can go skiing in 45. I mean, it's unbelievable what you have in Vegas. And I'm so excited to get down there and get a place and just kind of dive into the community.
Well, and I got to share the story. When we met at Rancho High School, you had asked me about good places to golf, and if they were private courses or public courses. Mm-hmm. And I said to you, you're Hunter Renfrow, you're on the Raiders, you're going to be able to golf wherever you want. So I think that'll hold true. And make sure you play Shadow Creek. You got to do that. Live flamingos going around. Yeah. You're gonna have fun.
That's gonna be ball. I'm looking forward to that one.
All right, Hunter Renfrow, listen, thank you so much for giving us your time today. We'll talk to you later down the road. Can't wait to get you out here, and my best to you and the family.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks,
all right, there you have it, Hunter Renfrow, Raiders wide receiver. Appreciate him joining us. We're going to step aside when we come back. Our senior NFL columnist and contributor over at Bleacher Report, who's been very, very busy lately, Moe Moton, will join us. We'll talk about how the free agency class impacts the Raiders and what they might do in the draft. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
This is Silver and Black today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
All right, welcome back to CBS Sports Radio 1140 and the Silver and Black today as we roll on through this national emergency. But when it comes to Raider Nation, it helps to be able to talk a little bit of football, right, guys? I mean, let's not forget that even if we're locked in the house, everybody's got their passion, everybody's got their love for football, and that includes all of us here. I'm Scott Branson, joined, of course, by Chaz Osborne and Kelly Kreiner. And now joining us via phone, we are doing bunker broadcasting from Nevada in the bunker in Brooklyn. Oh, boy, the alliteration continues. It is our senior NFL analyst and a contributor at Bleacher Report, Mr. Moe Moton. How you doing, Mo?
Doing pretty well. I haven't been outside in 7 days, so doing pretty well.
7 days. Well, I know for you there, I mean, you're in the epicenter, right? I mean, what's happening in New York State, not just the city, but the state is tragic, and our thoughts and prayers are with everybody there, of course. So I can understand why you haven't been out of the house, and of course you have family too, so you got to be careful. Mo, as you stay safe, you've been very, very busy writing about the NFL as you always do, and one of the things that you did this week up on Silver and Black today was how the Raiders free agency moves change the roster outlook. Clearly, you just heard our interview with Hunter Renfrow about how excited he was to see what the Raiders did on defense, especially, when you're an offensive player and you have a better defense to put you in better field position, that is exciting. But when you look at what happened overall, let's take that 50,000-foot level look first, Mo. When you look at what the Raiders were able to do and the needs they addressed, I like almost everything they did. What's your takeaway so far on the Raiders' moves?
My main takeaway is I know the fans want to see big, splashy moves. I know before free agency started, everyone was like, they need Yannick Ngakoue, you need Chris Jones, you need this guy. Of course, they tried to swing. They swung for Byron Jones, didn't hit. The Dolphins outbid him. But pretty much the moves are give them a lot of flexibility. And I think you talked about that with Jason Fitzgerald earlier. They didn't go for the 4 or 5 year deals. As you remember, the Raiders were in cap purgatory before McKenzie arrived. Don Delaney is a big part of cleaning that up. But now the Raiders have a lot of flexibility with a lot of 2-3 year deals, some of the 1 year deals, so they can move guys in and out if they need to. And I think that's a smart move. But they also fill some voids. As you know, 2 linebackers. I know a lot of people aren't excited about Eli Apple, but he is a placeholder in case they don't draft a cornerback early. I think they didn't need a tight end, but Jason Witten brings something into that group. And the defensive line, of course, with Columnist and Malik Collins, who I talked about in that column, were underrated signups, in my opinion.
They were. And, Mo, the thing is, you talked about fans, and, fans, of course, it's passion, right? It's short for fanatic. Of course, you see people act emotional about their team. But your point about Eli Apple, I think, is important because you live in a day and age, and with the salary cap and with as many needs as they have, yes, it would have been great to get Byron Jones. But when you look at the deal he got, those are the kind of deals that the Raiders got in trouble with in the past, giving long-term, big-money contracts to guys that didn't end up filling the needs long-term and didn't perform up to their standards. So I like what Fitzgerald said earlier on the show, that when you look at these contracts, you're not seeing teams commit to those deals and give that money up front. And a lot of Raider fans were talking about, well, we're cash poor because we're not giving these big signing bonus. And that's just not true. It's being prudent with your money, is it not?
It is. And I think I agree with something Kelly Kreiner said on your
Whoa, you agree with something Kelly said?
Episode. Yeah, I listened to Kelly Kreiner and I actually agree with what he said. Why would you commit a large salary to a player if you're not close to winning a Super Bowl? Now, I know Raiders fans sometimes are very optimistic and they think every year is Super Bowl year. But being honest about it, they're not right there from a Super Bowl where they say, okay, if we just add this player, we can get over the top. If you're still building up to that crescendo, building up to that point, you want to give yourself flexibility just in case something goes awry and you can get out of a bad contract. Now, teams that are committing to these players long term, that have a Super Bowl chance, I get it, because you feel like, okay, if we had this player or this couple of players, we can get to a Super Bowl with that, and then we will deal with the consequences after. We win the big game, and then worry about that after. The Raiders are not at that point, so I think for them, they need to spread out the money, more flexible deals, shorter deals, and work with that and take it in a year-by-year basis versus, okay, I'm just going to spend 5 years, $18 million on one player and see where it goes.
Again, we're talking
Mo,
to
it's Chaz.
No, that's okay. We're talking to Moe Moton, our senior NFL columnist at Silver and Black Today and a contributor over at Bleacher Report.
Mo, it's Chaz. I was just talk about how this free agency is kind of changed the dynamic of the draft now going forward.
Yeah, everyone was, not everyone, Raiders fans were set on a linebacker at 12 or 19. A lot of people talked about Kenneth Murray or Patrick Queen as being the optimal choices. I think that's pretty much changed. A lot of fans are still stuck on Kenneth Murray and saying, no, we still have to draft Kenneth Murray if he's there because best player available. But if you look at it, the Raiders spent money on 2 linebackers during free agency. They were hesitant to draft a linebacker early in drafts when they needed a linebacker. So do you really think they're going to draft a linebacker in the first round after spending on 2 linebackers? Not going to happen. So I think that changes with 12-19. Of course, a wide receiver is probably their top need right now. And then you go with a cornerback or maybe a safety, depending on who's available on that board at 19 or even 12. I think a sleeper pick would be if someone like Derek Brown falls. I did a first-round mock draft where I didn't see a good spot for him in the top 10. It's a possibility that he could fall. Isaiah Simmons, all the Raiders fans are still hoping that he falls. I don't see it happening. Of course, I think he would play safety if the Raiders drafted him, but there's always a possibility. You can never say never.
Yeah, and Mo, one of the things I was going to talk about too was you mentioned in your story the signing of Marcus Mariota and Derek Carr getting that push. And I said months ago, I said, listen, to me, I was not convinced Derek Carr would be gone. I know some people want him gone. I said he would be, as you have said all along, under center for the Raiders when they open up Allegiant Stadium. And I still think that to be true. But Marcus Mariota coming in, I thought was a great move, not only because you're getting a good guy and a guy who with maybe a change of scenery finds his game and some stability, which he mentioned actually when he talked to a Hawaii TV station this week about signing with the Raiders, but to have a veteran quarterback behind you to push you. And I think if you talk to players, I don't care who they are, to have someone there to push them to be their best is sometimes when you see a guy do the most that they can. Do you expect that relationship with Mariota and him being there to push Carr to be the best that he can be?
The Raiders couldn't have gone out and got a guy more like Derek Carr than Marcus Mariota. I mean, soft-spoken guy, not really fiery. I just want to put this out there. A lot of people say John Gruden needs a fiery quarterback like a Rich Gannon, and they prove that that's not really the case. John Gruden wants someone who's just going to run his offense, and I think Marcus Mariota, with his mobility, can do that. He can be efficient when he throws the football. But like you said, I think, and I tweeted this, pressure bust pipes or it makes signings, and I think we'll see how Derek Carr responds to that pressure. Now, of course, they're going to be cordial to each other and help each other when they can. But Derek Carr knows that if he doesn't play well, Marcus Mariota will be there to step in and run that offense if he's not playing well. So I think we'll see how he responds. A lot of people don't think he's going to respond well to pressure because of how he is in the pocket. But I think he's very competitive. If you watch any Derek Carr interview, I mean, he looks up to Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant. And I think he understands, like, look, I got to play well or else I'm going to lose my job.
Hey, Mo, it's Kelly. Just quick question for you. Chad's kind of touched on the draft. Free agency's kind of covered up some of the big spots where they need certain positions, so you can kind of go best player available. At 12, who do you want to see there logically? Obviously, you'd love to see Chase Young there, but who do you want to see at 12 for the Raiders?
I would say it's splitting hairs between Jerry Jeudy and Lamb. If I had to pick one and say you had to go with one, I would probably go with Jerry Jeudy just because of his route running. I'm not saying Lamb or even Ruggs are bad route runners. The misconception out there is that Ruggs is not a good route runner. He's pretty solid there. But I think Jeudy is – I tweeted this yesterday. People say he's too finesse. And a lot of people say he mounts his game after Amari Cooper. Now, if you remember, Amari Cooper had some pretty good years with Derek Carr. So if Jerry Jeudy is the next Amari Cooper or something similar, I would want that. But I would say 1B, if they get CeeDee Lamb, I'm fine with that because he's a yak monster. He's strong with his hands. Some people say, he's too slow. I don't worry about speed wide receivers. I just need to know that they can catch the football. Devontae Adams, not necessarily known as a burner. DeAndre Hopkins, not known as a burner. Michael Thomas, not known as a burner. And they're three of the top wide receivers in the league. Mike Evans, another one, not known as a burner. One of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. So I'm not worried about speed with Lamb. I really like Lamb, but I also the whole route running thing with Jeudy, I lean toward that. But I would be just as happy with either. Really, it's really like splitting very fine hairs between the two.
All right, Mo, I know you're extremely busy. We appreciate you spending some time with us on your Sunday, and we'll catch up with you real soon.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Mo.
Over there in Vegas.
Yeah, you too, my friend. All right, Moe Moton, senior NFL columnist with silverandblacktoday.com and also at Bleacher Report. He's a contributor over there. Really, really busy. He's been swamped, so we wanted to have him for an extended time, but he's just too dang busy. We'll get him on again real soon. I know readers and the listeners love listening to him. All right, we're going to step aside when we come back. We're going to be joined by John Vizcarra. John over at Stage Door Casino. They are closed with the shutdown of Nevada, but their convenience store is open. We're going to talk to him about how Raider Nation's supporting them and how you can too. You're listening to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
Hey, this is Rodney Hudson. You're listening to Silver and Black Today.
All right. I'm under center. Rodney Hudson brings us back. I'll take the ball and we'll go. That's right. You're listening to the Silver and Black Today here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140 as Bunker Broadcasting continues. That's right. We do our part to make sure we keep Nevada safe, and that's staying home, even when we're doing the show and talking Raiders football, as our community deals, as yours does, no matter where you're listening to us. By the way, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. You can do it in any channel you like. This show, after we're off the air, goes right up, usually within a half hour, so you can listen to it on the go. If you missed it live, you can check it out on the radio.com app, which you can rewind for up to 24 hours. It's like a DVR on your app on the phone there. You can do it there. And if you miss it after the first 24 hours, that's okay. Go to iTunes, subscribe there. You can subscribe in Spotify, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast or audio, you're going to be able to find us. You can even ask Alexa to play it for you if you have one of those devices that are listening to you and the NSA's monitoring everything you do. But no, besides the story. But check it out. Make sure you listen to the show there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are streaming live on video. We had some challenges to start with, but we're okay now. Great conversation happening in there. But as the now capital of Raider Nation, and as you know, the Raiders, you might have seen this week, by the way, guys, the Raiders have trademarked the nation's capital with Raiders Nation's capital as in Las Vegas. So that has become the full deal. And as such, our community here in Las Vegas, which has already benefited from the Raiders being here, is hurting, right? We economically, a lot of us are out of work. A lot of folks are closed. Small businesses particularly hit hard by this, as well as the big companies who employ a lot of us. And one of those businesses that has had to close due to this, mostly closed, I say that, and I'll explain it in a minute, is our good friends over at Stage Door Casino, the Raiders bar. If you're coming to town, there is no other place to go watch the game or hang out with Raiders fans, in my view, than the Stage Door Casino. And joining us now from the Stage Door is John Vizcarra. John, first of all, how are you and your family holding up?
Oh, hey, we're surviving day to day. You know, it's tough here, but you know, there's a lot of people that have it worse. So our heart goes out to them.
Yeah, and John, one of the things too that when I checked in on you and you had said, hey, listen, our convenience store is still open because you have a liquor store. By the way, the liquor store, not just in difficult times, is amazing because whatever you want, they have it. I'm not kidding you, including some rare stuff. So the convenience store, which you have not only alcohol, but you have all kinds of supplies. You have toilet paper, you have food, you have water, you have everything you could possibly need. That is open. So you guys are still getting some folks to work and doing that. How has the community supported you? How has Raider Nation particularly come down and support the Stage Door and the convenience store?
Oh, they've been terrific. We've had people from a Black Hole, Raider Nation Wrecking Crew, Villanos. We've had a lot of the booster clubs in the area coming in. They know that we're struggling. We're trying to keep our employees on payroll. So they're coming down there and they're buying their toilet paper, their water, their dairy products, their fresh produce, eggs, refreshments, snacks, and sundries. So it really helps us out a lot.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I was just down there this week, too, to pick up a couple things and had gone down there last week as well. And it's just nice because that's the thing, you guys with the bar and all the employees you have there as well, it's tough because people are out of work now, and we had the most unemployment filings in the state, almost 100,000 last week alone. It's the most in the history of the state. But how's the morale? I know you have a very close team, and some of them might not be working now, but you keeping in touch with everybody? You keep them close to everybody?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everybody understands. The bartenders are still on payroll, so they're taking care of them. They're taking care of some of the other people that are there. But everybody's checking in, and everybody's trying to do their part supporting the home team. I've been buying pretty much all of my needs from there, doing whatever I can.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff, and I think that's the thing. We have to support our local businesses, and for Raiders fans, for Raider Nation, they were there with you for games this year, for good times. Unfortunately, you were going to be right in the epicenter of the draft, and that has gone away. But hopefully, it'll be back next year. But for you too, I mean, looking at all of this, a little bit of a nice distraction has been the Raiders' activity in free agency. As a fan, as a lifelong Raider fan, tell me how you feel about the Raiders and what they've been able to do to address those defensive needs during this offseason, the free agency period.
Honestly, I'm pretty happy. I'm happy about it. Some of the big splash news, like the Brady stuff, didn't materialize, but that wasn't something that I was really banking on. But I'm happy with the moves that they've been making. I'm looking forward to whatever they do with the draft and whatever we pick up there. But for me, it all begins when the season starts, and hopefully this doesn't interrupt that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what are you hearing from down where you guys are located, right by the strip, right off the strip? Clearly, everything's closed there. But I know when I was there inside the store at your place, I saw a lot of the folks. There's still construction happening there, street work and all that kind of stuff. Are you getting mostly those folks? Or are you getting folks from, or what are you hearing from others that work on the strip, have businesses on the strip?
Everything's shuttered. Everything's closed. People are struggling to even keep their doors open. The foot traffic that we used to have is minimal. Mostly what we're getting is people, parking in our parking lot and then wanting to go and, take pictures on the strip. So we're just not seeing the foot traffic that we used to. But, that's understandable. Again, it's unprecedented times with the casinos closing the way they are. It's something I'd never thought I'd see in Las Vegas.
No, it's been crazy. So for folks in town that want to support you, John, tell us a little bit about what they can expect at the convenience store, the liquor store, and what your hours are currently.
Yeah, currently we're 24 hours. We're open 7 days a week. You can expect to see no lines, so you'll be able to get right in. We've got everything you might need. A lot of things similar to a grocery store. So you've got your paper products, toilet paper, paper towels. You've got bottles of water, whether you want to buy it by the case or by the bottle. We've got dairy products. We've got fresh produce and eggs, refreshments, soda, Gatorade, things like that. Snacks. So if you're looking for those chips that are no longer there because the chip aisle's been ransacked, we've got it. Sundries, if you need deodorant, if you need antibacterial soap, things of that nature, we've got it. So, a lot more than just a liquor store. But, hey, if you're in that market, we have that too.
You do, absolutely. And I wish you guys the best. And, of course, we'll be there supporting you throughout. And when we get back to better times, of course, we'll get down there to watch games, and hopefully we get that draft back next year. John, thanks, man, for all you're doing, and appreciate what Stage Door is doing to take care of its employees. And make sure you get down there and support them, guys. John, take care. Have a good time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right, take care. All right, there you have it. John Vizcarra from the Stage Door Casino, the Raiders Bar here in Las Vegas. Well, guys, now you know where to get toilet paper, guys. If you run out of it, John's got it, man. It's good. I was in there, and they had plenty. So I think maybe we're starting to reach the end of that hoarding stuff, but you never know. All right, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to close out the show with Kelly's Corner, and we'll chat a little bit about the NFL, maybe a little Deshaun Watson. Maybe that's what Kelly's going to talk about. We don't know what Kelly's going to talk about because he surprises us, but Kelly's Corner is always one of the exciting parts of the show, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Crucial to our community.
CBS Sports Radio. You found the most in-depth coverage of the Silver and Black. This is Silver and Black Today, live on CBS Sports Radio 1140. Here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black today here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 as we roll on despite what's happening in the world. Again, from all of us here at Silver and Black today and also at CBS Sports Radio 1140, thank you to all the healthcare workers out there, first responders, everybody out there still working, grocery store workers. I feel the worst for you because you're seeing the worst of humanity. In addition to the hospital. So thank you for doing that as well. And I want to give a special shout out because the one thing people forget about when stuff like this happens, especially all of us home, and so we're consuming more at home than we usually do if we're out eating and all that, is sanitation workers. And those guys, they're on schedule, they're picking up garbage, and trust me, I'm sure it's not any fun as everybody is producing more. So make sure you try to cut down as much as that, reuse your stuff. We've completely gone off paper towels, which I never thought we would do. With all the kids we have, we're using towels, washing those, and so it's very cool. So make sure you, when you see somebody who's working out there and doing what they're doing, thank them for it. All right, it's the time of the show that everyone waits for. They might do a shot of tequila or bourbon or something beforehand to get them their nerves calmed. But that is, of course, Kelly's Corner. And Kelly, I can't imagine what you have today. But that's what we love about it, is it's always a surprise. Lay it on us, man. It's Kelly Kreiner.
Hi out there, to all you cats and kittens. Are you guys watching the Tiger King documentary?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh man, I hate when something is like so big on Twitter, and it's funny. It's kind of polarizing because I think it's got blown up so much. A lot of people watch it, didn't really like it. I sat down to watch the first episode the other night at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm going to watch one episode. I'm going to bed. I watched all 7 episodes. Next thing I know, the sun's coming up. The fact that, like, I don't know what's worse, the fact that people like this, like, actually exist in the country, or the fact that I'm not surprised people like this still live in the country. You know,
Are they in Florida?
Well, the actual Tiger King guy is in Oklahoma. The lady Carol Baskin is in Florida, and then there's another main character's in South Carolina, I believe. And then there's a guy that has a smaller part, is like from 15 minutes where I grew up in Indiana. So obviously this guy came in after I left because we never had a damn tiger safari museum thing in Charlestown, Indiana when I lived there. You know. But it's just fascinating, all this stuff, that, like, this was a normal, everyday life for all these people. You know, I don't want to spoil anything or get into any, if anybody out there hasn't seen it. I highly recommend that you watch it, because it was just fascinating to me. But if the first episode and a half, doesn't quite grab you, stick through the end of the second episode, and you're definitely watching the third one, because there's a twist in there you're not quite seeing, And it just gets crazier and crazier from the get-go. Now, if you're into people with teeth, this won't be your show. It's obvious there's a lot of meth use in Oklahoma. I'm not disparaging Oklahoma. Watch this and you'll find out what I'm talking about. But the basic story is about a guy who has a zoo. He's got all kinds of animals, but he's also a gay man with 2 husbands, owns a bunch of tigers, who runs for governor.
Wow.
And that's not even the strangest part of the story. It just blows me away because every time you're sitting there thinking, well, that's just dumb. What else is going to happen? Something else happens. It's just this show is amazing.
Well, and I keep seeing the memes, right? And I haven't watched it yet. Luckily, no one I've seen surprisingly has spoiled it. I haven't seen spoilers out there. I've seen a lot of, if you don't believe that she fed her husband to the tigers, then you're crazy or something. That's the only thing I've seen come close to it. But it's on my list. I think my wife and my daughter, who's home with all this from Phoenix, I think they watched it a little bit, but I haven't had a chance. So they started talking about it. I'm like, whoa, quiet. I can't hear yet.
Yeah, you need to watch, because there's no way that, I'm surprised there hasn't been more stuff out there. Like I've posted that meme 1,000 times because I just think it's hilarious. But yeah, it's something you've got to kind of go in, because you don't want any more information than you have, because it kind of ruins it. Because the fact that just at every moment something stranger happens, and it just keeps snowballing. So you kind of want to go in as fresh as you can, because you don't want to, like I said, at the end of episode 2 into episode 3, that's the big curve right there. But it gets crazier and crazier. So yeah, you definitely need to watch this. And like I said, even if the first episode doesn't quite grab you, stick to the second one, because you will definitely watch the third.
Oh man, that's crazy. It's weird. I surprisingly haven't watched much TV during all this. I've been working at home a lot, and then what I did over the last couple of days is where I have my home studio set up, since we're using it more now, and I'm working in here. I actually repainted it, did all that kind of stuff over the weekend, or the week, I should say, at night. So we've been doing that. We reorganized our garage, but I want to get on. I definitely want to get on and watch that. And then I got some movies to catch up on. But did you guys hear what I said earlier? We only have a couple minutes left, but I can't watch like old sports. There's some classic games that I can watch, especially if they're personally important to me. But, like you watch the NFL Network playing like last year's Jets versus Bengals, and you're like, okay, I know you got to just throw something up there. But are you guys in the same boat on that? Are you watching any old sports?
Yeah, when I'm flipping through, and if something's coming on, I leave it on there for a few minutes or something. And then if it's towards the end of the game and they're replaying it, it's going to be a good ending. So if I flip something on, it's in the middle of the fourth quarter or late in the fourth quarter or something like that, I'll stay on it and watch it, because it's going to be a great ending, and you kind of remember where you were if you had a bet on it or something like that. It's kind of fun. But other than that, yeah, I'm not going to watch the 2002 Kansas Duke championship game. Just like what the. I don't need all of that. But if I'm flipping through and I catch the last couple of minutes of something good, I'll leave it on there.
Yeah, and I'm not watching any of that stuff. I don't have cable, so everything I watch is Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, stuff like that. So you don't run into that as much. There's so much just crap programming that you can binge through on these. It's like I didn't have Hulu till a couple weeks ago, and there's a bunch of stuff on there I'd never heard of. So yeah, for me, my time is occupied with streaming everything now. I went golfing a couple times last week, and there's only a handful of golf courses open right now in Las Vegas, but the one that I went to, they had the cups raised, so you don't hit the ball into the hole, you just kind of hit the metal part of the cup. Yeah, and then the other one, I went to the state line and went out to Prim, and they had the flag bolted in, and the cup wasn't raised, so the ball kind of went in, but it only went in like about an inch, because they had these kind of screws and bolts where the flag was bolted in, so your ball just barely goes in there. So it's kind of an interesting twist of what people in different places are doing to stay open and to kind of stay safe.
It is. And as we run up to the end of the show here, the other thing, too, I'll tell you, is NFL has given away Game Pass for free through, I think, May 31st. So that's the only thing I've been doing. I'm watching all the Raiders games from last year and focusing on positions from some of those guys. So I recommend go sign up for it. It's free. But Chaz and Kelly, man, thanks again as we navigate through this weird setup. We appreciate you guys being here. As always, we'll talk to you next week.
Happy birthday to Derek Carr, too.
That's
I'm glad I'm paying for Game Pass. That's awful nice of you, NFL.
All right, guys, we are out. We'll talk to you guys next week. Make sure you to the website, silverandblacktoday.com. Also, make sure you subscribe up on YouTube and look for the archive of this show coming to you momentarily. For our producer, Mark Bonilla, and the whole team here, have a good time out there. Be safe. Stay home. We'll talk to you next time.